What's up, my good friends on the YouTubers? Maz. I wanted to make this video to show you how I make my masks. So the first mask that I had gotten on the internet was actually through YouTube. It was poppy seed something sewing. I don't really remember exactly what the name was. Sorry about that. Anyways, I tried it out back in April, and the mask was just like, it was made for people with smaller heads, and I clearly don't have a small head. And my partner has a really long face, and what I had to do was I just kind of ended up designing my own. And of course, anytime I design my own thing, then that leads to like, oh, we should do this, or we should add this, or, you know, like, well, what if we did this? And so it's kind of like what happened. So the first masks that I made, I shared them on Instagram back in May, and actually Faye, who, if you don't know her, there's a link to her down below. She's a very inspiring kind of person. She's got some pretty good vibes, you know, like positive vibes. Anyways, she said that she would be interested in seeing how I make them. So here I am, like 8 months later or something, showing you how I make them. Hopefully that's okay, I didn't took so long. My masks include a flexible 3D printed nose bridge. It also has adjustable bands on the back that are connected with 3D printed parts. I use Fusion 360 to make the nose bridge and the connectors and the adjusters that are on the mask. And these parts were printed in Proto-Pasta. The parts were printed on my 3D printers that I built and designed myself with my partner. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make some of these. It's gonna be pretty good, you know. You just sew these things up, and then you can hide behind them. The mask person. The first thing I had to do was I had to clear off some space so I could make the mask. So you're going to need a lot of fabric. Well, maybe not a lot of fabric, but you're going to want some different types of fabric. Usually cotton is a great material to use with masks because it breathes well while still keeping dust particles out of the mask. One of the main things that you're probably going to want to do is make sure that your rotary tool is sharp. Sadly, when I started cutting, I did not check, so a lot of the stuff that I can cut, it took me forever to cut it. Like, it just, for some reason, it didn't dawn on me that I should probably make sure that the blade is sharp. So what you're going to want to do is make sure to change it. And here I'm showing you how you can change it pretty easily. Now be very, very careful with the blade because the blade is actually extremely sharp. I mean, like the new ones are really sharp. Somehow I have barely touched my skin before and completely drawn blood just by touching it. I don't really know how, but it's happened. So be very careful. once you have your blade changed, go ahead and check to make sure that it's actually sharp and cut some fabric with it. And voila, there you go. Now since I've gotten my blade sharpened, it's time to start cutting fabric. You can find the mask patterns in the PDF that I provided, which is in the description below. pieces for your 3 different layers on your mask, you're going to want to make sure that you cut out the nose bridge, just one, you only have to cut out one, in the stretchy material. Anytime I do any kind of like really heavily focused, zoned in task, at some point I have to kind of let loose and like kind of wiggle a little bit, you know, because like you gotta get your blood flowing. You gotta do a little racha, or you know, whatever the people do, they dance and they boogie. Yeah, I did a little bit of that. Once you have everything pinned together, you're gonna go ahead and It's probably time to fire up those 3D printers if you haven't yet. By what I mean is you should probably get printing. Found a cat. What's the fuzz? What's the fuzz? It's so cute. Well, I guess since now all of our pieces are cut and we're ready to go and sew, we should probably go find the sewing room. Or sewing machine if you don't have a dedicated room for this machine. Once you've gotten your sewing machine all cleared up and ready to go, it's time to pull in and get to sewing. You're going to want to make sure that you sew the outside edge of each layer of your mess. I don't know if you know this or not, but I am totally professional at sewing. One of the great things about sewing machines is they like to eat your fabric, and then you have to tear the fabric out of the machine. But you know what? It's okay. We can just rip the fabric right out of there and keep on sewing. Something that I've noticed about these sewing machines is they get hungry. Really, really hungry. It's a little bit strange, but I mean, like any machine, you gotta feed it something, right? Whether it's oil or material or something. Anyways, this one is hungry for thread. Sadly, my bobbin ran out of thread while I was sewing, and of course I didn't need to check this kind of thing before I started sewing. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to fill up that bobbin. Just pop it right on top of the machine and let it go. Snip, snip. Snippity, snip, snip, snip. Go ahead and thread the machine back up. Now we're back in the office, and I guess printers are still printing. After you've sewn all of the layers for your mask together on the one edge that faces the front, you're going to go ahead and cut them all apart. One of the things that you're going to want to make sure that you do after you've sewn all of your mask layers together is go through and cut little triangles out of the edge of the curve. You can do them every maybe inch or so, and you're going to want to make sure that you do it to all of them. The reason you're going to want to cut out these little pieces on the curve of your mask is to help eliminate the bulge. Now that you have all of your masks trimmed up with their little triangles, you're going to go ahead and place the nose bridge pockets onto the inside stretchy layer. You can easily line them up with the top curve of the mask. Once you have the top curve of the mask and your nose bridge put in place, you're going to go ahead and sew it on the machine. Now when you're sewing these on, the one thing you want to make sure of is that you do a pause and then make sure the needle is inside the fabric, lift the foot, turn the part, and then put the foot back down so you can make perfect 90-degree corners all the way around your nose bridge pocket. Now when I'm sewing on the nose bridge, something that I do is I skip a few stitches on the bottom arch of the nose bridge pocket, so that way I can cut it later. Now that you're done sewing this, you're going to go ahead and take your little snippets and you're going to snip the little part that you skipped. After you've sewn the nose bridge pockets on, you're going to take all three pieces and pin them together. You're going to want to make sure that the outsides of your mask, so the one that touches your face and the one that's on the very outside, are going to be the ones that are facing each other when you're pinning it together. Once you got it all pinned together, you're just going to go right along the top. After you're done sewing the top, you're going to go ahead and unfold your mask so that way it's right side out. Now, the reason you're going to do this is because you're going to adjust it and try to lay it as flat as it's going to be if the garment's bottom and sides were finished. Now, if you notice, there's kind of this sort of unevenness about all of your edges. Now, I have found that it's best to go ahead and trim those edges off with a rotary cutter, and this will help reduce the amount of bulge that's on the inside of the mask when you're wearing it. Because if you left all of those edges there and had sewn it edge to edge, you would have a bulge on the inside. Now that the printer is done, you can go ahead and get the parts off your printer. The main part that is very useful and makes the mask fit so much better is the flexible nose bridge. This flexible nose bridge, it slips into a pocket inside of the mask that you don't really have to sew the bridge to the mask. You just slide it into the pocket. For the mask, I use a 1/4 inch braided elastic. This elastic, I got it from Amazon. You can get it basically anywhere. At one point, Joanne was sold out earlier this year, so that's why I got mine on Amazon. The first thing you're going to want to do with the braided elastic is you're going to want to cut yourself 4 pieces of elastic at 46 millimeters. I use a rotary cutter to cut all of these, and also a little cheap kind of piece of plastic that I made myself for cutting multiples of them. After you have all of your pieces cut, you're going to want to go ahead and burn the ends. Now, I don't know if you know this, but elastic is flammable, but you probably already know that. I'm the one that, forgets that sometimes. Once you have all 4 pieces of your elastic cut, you can go ahead and put them inside of the connectors that you 3D printed. Each of these 3D prints can be cleaned up if you need to beforehand, and then the elastic should just go through the slots easily. Once you have the elastic through your connectors, you're going to go ahead and fold them and then place them on the inside of your mask and pin them into place. The easiest thing I find to do is to push it up against the previous seam to make sure that it's in there really tight and to where the elastic just sticks out even barely. More flushed, if anything, with the edge of the fabric. Once you have it in place, you're going to go ahead and just clip it and then do the same thing with the ones that are below and on the other side. Now since you don't have a seam on the bottom of the mask, you're going to go ahead and judge where your seam is going to be at. You're going to want to make sure that it's a similar area to where the top one is in judgment. Now, granted mine, they're off a little bit. I understand that. But that's okay. Once you got everything all pinned together and such, you're gonna go ahead and just sew it together. So it's one. You're going to want to sew from the side and then around the corner, but then stop just in the middle and don't sew that close. You're going to want to leave that open so that way you can unfold your mask back out to have the right side facing out and be nice and clean. Once you've sewn all the way around where the elastic connectors were at, you're going to go ahead and cut the corners at an angle on all four corners. Now the reason you want to do this is so that way when you're pulling it back out and unfolding it, it doesn't bunch up and it helps the fabric lay a little bit better. Now one thing you're going to want to make sure of is don't cut too close to the seam. Make sure that you're far enough away from the seam that you're not going to create a hole. Once you've turned your mask inside out and you've got all the corners and the elastic all nice and pressed out and stuff, you're going to want to go ahead and clip the middle so that way you can have an easier way of going across the bottom back on the machine. What you doing there? You're going to go ahead and sew right along the edge of the mask. Once you're done sewing that, you can go ahead and clip it, and then you're ready to go sew on the elastic for the neck and head. Now would be a good time to go ahead and cut your head and neck elastic. The head is the one that is 44 centimeters long, and the neck is 38 centimeters long. Of course, after you're done cutting these, you'll go ahead and burn the ends just to singe anything. When you're sewing on the elastic to your adjuster, you're just going to stick it through one side and pull it down the other, and then pinch it and hold it in place. And then I sew these by hand. I did at one point try to sew these on the machine, but I noticed that the little printed parts can be a little bit cumbersome to try to do on the machine with the foot and all that stuff. The main thing I try to do is go through the center at least 6 times back and forth in a little, like, you know, kind of going in a circle over the elastic. And then after that, I go on the edges to kind of do a little bit more stitching to really get it on there good. Of course, after you go ahead and finish it, you're going to want to make sure that it's really on there. So pull on it, tug on it, make sure it's not going to come off. Once you have sewn on the adjusters to your elastic, you're going to be ready to put it into the mask. Now the way that I put them on my mask is I make sure that I start from I put it in through the right side, And it doesn't really matter which side you put them in. You can put it in the right or the left. It's just the thing I would say is probably make sure that they're on the same side, so that way when you're adjusting it on the back of your head, you know which direction is the way to go tighter and which is to go looser. So the way that I put these on is I loop it through the right side of the mask and pull it up. Then I go through one side of the adjuster and then back down, and then I loop it through the other side of the mask, which would be the left, and then I pinch it down and sew that one in place. Now I always try to make sure that the edge of the elastic is facing the inside of the mask. Now once you have that sewn on, you're done, and you have your mask. You can go ahead and put it on, you can wear it, adjust it, make sure it fits good, you know? Kind of get that whole thing going. This concludes my story on how I make my masks. Now that we're all done, I hope that if you made one of these for yourself, you enjoy them. And my sister and Faye, I hope that you enjoy watching this video, and if there's any of you viewers out there who mysteriously landed on my page and found this video, I don't know how you found it, but thank you for watching, and there you go. And then you can get back to work or whatever it was that you were doing that you needed to protect yourself with a mask. Safe. Mask up, bro.